Good morning. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We are back with another incredible session of our Wednesday Wisdom podcast. And I had to bring her back. She's back, y'all. The most incredible Queen Elizabeth Riley. I've been watching the chat. It's been blowing up. People want more and more information from her. So I begged her, I pleaded with her to come on back and share some more information with us. And she graciously agreed, being the Queen E that she is. So, Elizabeth Riley, welcome back. And for anyone that is new, would you please introduce yourself for anyone that hasn't heard of you, for like those three people?
Oh my gosh, I'm just honored that y'all wanted me back. And I'm like, sure, we'll just have a weekly talk with Elizabeth and Tony. Like,
Let's do it. Let's
our,
do it.
no, I'm super excited. This is awesome. We'll just have a fun conversation today. So I'm Elizabeth Riley. I'm in Austin, Texas. I have the Lux Property Group, licensed 17 and a half years, started in Georgia, transferred to Austin in 2008. So I don't want to hear people talking about the market and it a bad market, because that was a bad market. Business is 100% referral. I love what I do. When you love on people and love what you do, it's not a job. And so I've been blessed to build a pretty big business within the real estate industry, and have a lot of people in my organization within EXP that I am blessed to get to love on and help lift up as I am lifting myself and my business. So I'm blessed to be back here with you.
That's great. That's great. I love hearing that. And as Thanksgiving is next week, right around the corner, right? So as we start every podcast, what are you most grateful for, right? We don't only do it on Thanksgiving, but what are you most grateful for right now? Sounds like you're grateful for a whole lot, but pick one of those things and tell us about it as we head into
Gosh, there's
Thanksgiving.
so many things to be grateful for. I just think we have to have an abundance mindset. Life is much more fun when you're positive and you have an abundance mindset as opposed to focusing on the negative. You know what I'm really grateful for right now is more personal. I've been running and going all year long. My family and I have all been working in our own things for so long that we really haven't had a lot of family time. And so we are getting to check out on Saturday for a week for Thanksgiving week. We're leaving the country, and
That's
I'm
great.
just going to be able to focus on them. So I'm really grateful that I'm going to have that time to spend with my family.
That's great. Are you headed somewhere special, or just kind of Texas wise, or is it a top secret? It's top
No, this
secret.
one's not a secret. Most of mine are secrets with my kids, but this is actually a trip that was scheduled back in COVID days when the world shut down. We were supposed to leave, and it's been rescheduled 3 times. So we're finally making it happen. We head
Wow.
to Costa Rica on Saturday.
Costa Rica, it is beautiful down there. I got a lot of friends that go there yearly, so that's wonderful. Right on
Yeah,
the beach, right?
yeah.
That's great.
Warmer than Texas right now, that's for sure.
Well, that don't take much. It's like 30 right now. So,
Yeah, I live in we live in Texas to be warm, Tony. This is not
right. That's what it's supposed to be. That's exactly what
right.
it's supposed to be. So
That's
it
right.
was 80. Actually, I did another podcast with one of our partners, and last week I went to Seattle. It was 80 when I got here, where it was 80 here, and I went to Seattle and it was like 20. And
So
then I got back here and it's 30 again. So
you
it's like,
brought
what
the
the heck?
weather.
I
Yeah,
know I must have. It followed
yeah.
me back. That's what I get. Anyways, what I want to do, and you were so gracious last time and gave us such great information and content. The agents have been just lighting it up in appreciation on workplace chat and in YouTube as well. But I wanted to highlight some of the questions that maybe we didn't get to, and that the agents have been asking on how you're able to build such a sustainable business. Right? You talk about, hey, you're flying off to Costa Rica. You're going to be focused on family. You're able to unplug, and you've got this incredible business. And I presume that your business doesn't stop just because you fly off to Costa Rica.
Right.
So tell me a little bit, and tell everyone that's watching a little bit about how you've managed to gain this sphere, and how you're able to farm your sphere and market to them on a consistent basis.
Well, yeah, you just said it. The key word is consistency. It's a lot of hard work. You know, somebody said the other day, you don't have to work your business. It just falls in your lap. And I'm like, you've lost your mind, because I work
Where?
every single day. But what they don't see is the 17 years before now. Right.
Mhm.
And so what I love about EXP is you don't have to recreate the wheel. We are all here opening. Look, this worked for me. This didn't work for me. This is where I failed forward. And I didn't have that when I first got into the business. I was at a different company, and they were just like, well, good luck here, figure it out. And yeah, I can figure it out. I'm pretty driven. I'm pretty direct, and I've got grit to me, but it's much more fun when you're getting to focus on the things you want to focus on. And I quickly learned what I didn't like which is cold calling or knocking on doors, and that's not a bad thing. Some people
Who
love
does,
it,
right?
right?
Yeah.
I'm much more of an introvert until I want to be, right? And I don't want to go knock on somebody's door, and because I always think about treating people how I want to be treated. Think about when you're in the middle of something and somebody knocks on your door and is trying to sell you something, or your attitude's a little bit different. And I know it's all about the approach, but that's just something I could not internalize and I could not be genuine with. And for me, if you're not being genuine and you're not being authentic, then that's not your route. That's not your path. And so there's not one way to do real estate. And so I had to figure out what worked for me. And what started was I had a few friends that were like, hey, you've got your license. Can you help me? Well, yeah. So now it's not like work. It's fun. You're going out with friends. Okay, let's find what you want. And you're invested in making sure that they're super happy, not because it's a paycheck, but it's your relationship. Right. And
Yeah.
and a brand new agent, I mean, it's hard because you're like, oh my gosh, I need that sale. I need that sale. But if you come across with commission breath or desperate, it's not going to go well for you. And they're going to see right through you, and then you're going to make casual mistakes so I just like to be in the moment. So for me, it was really building the relationships. Who did I know? Even if they weren't buying or selling, they know people who might be buying or selling. And your relationships want to see you win. So what I started doing is I would just talk to the people that I knew, and I had a list. Now, my fancy CRM, when I started, and probably until the last 7 years from now, was Excel. It's not about the CRM. And I think we get caught up in having all the things ready to go and having all the shiny objects. It's like, no. Just do. Well, that's me anyway. Just do and figure it out. So for me, Excel worked. All I needed was a list of names, addresses, phone numbers, and emails. I didn't need something that was going to automate everything and all the bells and whistles. I just needed the basics. And I think sometimes you just have to get back to the basics to move forward. So it was just an Excel spreadsheet. And I added to it people that I knew, people that I met, people that I met at church, people that I met at the grocery store, people that I met walking the dog, whatever it was. And then I just got into relationship. I'd write them handwritten notes. And then consistently, I would send something every single month, nothing real estate related. Because I didn't really know much about real estate, really.
Yeah.
I was kind of, you say faking it till you're making it. I didn't know much. I was driving around neighborhoods. I was trying to get to know things. But I did know relationships and I did know people. And so I could send them a note, like right now, Thanksgiving, who's in your database? All you have to do is write a handwritten note. I just want to let you know during this time of Thanksgiving, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my world. That's not hard. And think about what would happen is if you got that in the mail. Wow. Tony took the time. I haven't talked to Tony, but he took the time to send me a note and say he was grateful for me. That's pretty cool. So it's little things like that. I think we overcomplicate it. But what happens is you don't know who knows your next client. So as I started building up my client, I didn't say, okay, well, Tony, I just want to talk to people that can buy 300,000 and above. I didn't care. Some of my biggest cheerleaders in my database, I still market to because people are like, okay, well, should I have my A's, B's, C's, D's? Well, if you have D's, you shouldn't have them in your database anyway. It's just wasted energy. But do what's best for you. A, B, C does not work for me. I get confused. I'm like, wait a minute. What if this is my A's and they're walking down the street with a B and they're like, oh my gosh, I love what you just sent me. And then the B, I'd like overthink that. So I just treat everybody the same. Because then I'm like, okay, I can do the same thing for everybody else. I don't have to worry about what I did over there and what I did last week. But the cool thing about that is you don't know who they know. My biggest referral source, probably the last 10 years, is from somebody that never has purchased a home with me. They already had their house before we met. He was a doctor. Like they were set, but I built that relationship. And so, I mean, in fact, I closed one today. It's a virtual closing or they're moving into the state, but 1.4 million, that was a referral just from him. He doesn't say, hey, I recommend you interview some agents. Here's who I recommend. He's saying, Elizabeth is my go-to. This is the person you need to talk to. They don't even interview anybody. When you have somebody that is standing behind you, no matter what, and they've never even worked with you, like that's a strong referral source. So for me, I just treated everybody the same. I was consistent. I sent them something in the mail or checked in with them or had coffee. In the beginning, I would go have coffee, just have a conversation with them. And it just builds over time and over time. And I had to do that again in 2008 when I moved to Austin. So it's worked for me in two different markets, two very different markets, two very different price points. And I realized it's not about the market that's going to determine my success. It's about the effort and the consistency that I put forth that's going to determine my success. Does that make sense?
That makes a ton of sense. And goodness gracious, you left a lot to unpack. But I don't want to breeze past the fact that you said commission breath. So I I need to know a little bit more. What is commission breath? Can you explain that for anybody who doesn't know that term?
It's those people that are desperate that just want a sale. You know who they
Yeah.
are. Like, I just am going to make a sale. I don't care what I need to do. You're worried about your pocketbook and your checkbook. I mean, your savings account and your checking account more than your client. And when you do that, that always makes me nervous. And you're our broker. So you should know that, right? You don't want somebody that's so desperate that's not going to be taking care of the client because, okay, maybe you get through that transaction. But what happens after the fact when you fail to disclose something or fail to support and represent your client well? What happens then? Like that, that's not a good thing. So commission breath are those people that are just wanting to sell you something, whether it's real estate or not. They just want the money. It's all about them. It's not about the client, in my opinion.
I love it. I love it. And also, as you talk about not allowing current market conditions to dictate your success, what do you mean by that? How do we get out of this mindset? Because of course, it's all over the news. That's all you see is interest rates are going up and the market's down 40%. It's down 60%. It's going to be like this for the next 2 years, on and on and on, right? And folks like yourself, folks like me, others that have been through some of these ups and downs and got started in early 2006 or earlier and seen other market recessions, so to speak. What's your advice on how the how behind not allowing the negative market conditions to impact your business?
It's hard, and real estate is so hyper local that I learned this in Atlanta when I moved from Atlanta to Austin. Everybody was talking about a horrible market, and Austin's a horrible market. I was like, wait a minute. I guess if that's all you're recognizing, but I came from a bad market, right?
Right.
Atlanta
Right.
burst. Austin didn't burst. And so Austin just kind of expanded a little bit, but they didn't feel the pain that we actually felt in that market. Not only as real estate agents, but buyers and sellers. There were so many clients and past clients that were calling and saying, okay, we've got to do short sales. We're going to be foreclosed on. What are some solutions? Like, those are real challenging conversations that you're like, okay, how can I serve you best? So I moved to Austin. Yeah, it's challenging. It wasn't a bad market. So it was mindset for me. And then you see the news, anything you see on the news, right? It's always going to be doom and gloom. I don't watch the news. It's noise to me. I don't have
Yeah.
time to do it. And if I'm watching that, it's taking my energy, it's draining me, and it's taking me away from something that I could be doing that's going to add so much more value to other people. So I just am consistent as far as, the reality is people are always going to buy and sell. They are always going to have to move no matter what the situation is, right? The closing I have today, they're moving from Cleveland because they're being relocated for a job here. And it's a $1.4 million property. Things are still moving. You have to have enough conversations, and you might have to increase your conversations, making sure people know that you're aware, or they're aware that you're available and you're there to help them and you're there to serve them and you are surrounded by the best of the best. What I'm really loving, and not loving in a good way, but I'm really loving for our sake, is all the doom and gloom around the real estate market and all these companies that are, going backwards and they're losing all this money and like how horrible real estate is. But then you've got EXP that's smashing the records for the quarter, right? And so what I'm loving is the fact that we have a great story to tell. And we're like, well, I don't know what they're doing over here, but this is what we're doing over here. And we're collaborating. We're doing everything we can to serve you, our client, because we're one EXP. And it gives you an energy and an excitement to help your clients because people are moving. And also that EXP referral source is huge. So for me, we don't have a lot of inventory. It's very different than 2008. 2008, we had so much inventory, right? But we don't have a lot of inventory. So sellers, if they're not being greedy, if they're listening, if they're looking at the numbers, if they're being realistic, their houses are going to move. And
Yeah.
then, it's easier now for buyers. You're not competing with 10, 15, 20 offers. You're not competing. I mean, agents aren't competing with all this stuff, right? The likelihood of something falling through or not. I actually think it's an easier time in the market, and it gives us a chance to take a step back and breathe.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things I've been having to do. My database has been a mess. Our databases are always a mess. It's always a project, but it's like, oh my gosh, okay, that'll come, that'll come, that'll come. And then I painstakingly have to go through all these contacts. But now I have the time to do that, which is perfect because now I can get my gratitude letters out in time. And I'm not being reactive. I'm being able to be proactive. I can get my holiday donation letters out in time. So I'm seeing this as a positive because it's allowing us to breathe a little bit more and get back to the basics, get our systems in order, get our processes in order, because the fall is usually slower anyway, and get us ready for 2023. So we are like off to the races running, and we're not having to be reactive.
That's great. And you mentioned holiday donation letters, and I think you kind of touched on that last time as well. But can you kind of explain what that is and how you incorporated that into your marketing?
Yeah, out of all my touches every year, this is the one month that I get the most response.
It's huge.
And
huge. And it's not about you.
And I don't
Yeah.
do it for the response. You know what I mean? That's what's
Exactly.
so awesome about it.
Yep.
A long time back in Atlanta again, I remember my market center, they would send around these order forms for wreaths. And you could order all these wreaths, and it was a big thing. All these wreaths would show up and you could deliver them to your clients. And a lot of my clients didn't celebrate Christmas, or they celebrated a different holiday. And I was like, well, okay. So like one of my very first client, very good friend of mine, she was Jewish. And I was like, well, okay, is a wreath offensive? Or you know what I mean? Like,
you don't know. Right. Yeah.
And I never want to offend, and I never want to exclude. I always want to include. So I realized, okay, why are we stressing everybody out with wreaths or chocolate or gift cards or whatever else? Nobody needs stuff. What if instead we could do something and make a difference for somebody else during this holiday season? So I started doing donations through usually a local charity, or if there was somebody in my database that was really involved in a nonprofit, or there's a nonprofit here in Austin called Wonders and Worries, and they come in when there is a family member or a parent specifically that's dealing with an illness. They come in and really support the children, right? And I was like, well, how cool is that? The only reason I knew about that though is one of my clients, he was diagnosed with cancer, and that organization came in and really served the child at the time. I was like, my friend and my client needed that. What a difference they made, right? So a lot of times it's people that are involved or serving, and I try to do local if I can. And I take my list of clients. I don't put last names. I don't put addresses. Again, this is not for my clients to get spammed by, I'm not saying nonprofits will spam, but you know what I mean? Nobody wants to be on another mailing list, right? But I will send a letter to the nonprofit. So for this example, Wonders and Worries. Dear Wonders and Worries, thank you so much for everything you did for the XYZ family and for the community. During this holiday season, please accept this donation in the amount of whatever it is in the name of my clients listed below. And then I put all my clients' first name, and then I submit a check. Here's the beautiful thing about this. It serves many purposes, okay? Number one, you're thanking them for doing something great in the community, and you're giving them a donation that they weren't expecting. It's unrestricted. They can use it for whatever their needs are. At the end of the year, most nonprofits are needing donations. Okay. Number two, it doesn't matter what the amount is, right? If you're a newer agent and you're like, I have $10 to give to this donation to this company, it's $10.
Yeah.
But your clients don't have to know how much it was. Okay. So now you've given a donation to this nonprofit. It's a write-off for the agent now because you made a donation. And now I go back and I am on Canva or Vistaprint. I just write, during this holiday season, a donation has been made in your name to Wonders and Worries, and I put the website below. Thank you for your continued support and referrals. XOXO Elizabeth, Lux Property Group, brokered by EXP. Now you've also created awareness for a nonprofit that a lot of people might not know about because they want to Google this. I get handwritten notes all the time from clients going, oh my gosh, thank you for making a donation in my name. Thank you for giving me awareness. And every single year I do something different. This year, Foster Angels, I'm really involved with foster children and foster foster organizations because my family was a foster family. I don't know if you know this. We had
I
100.
did not know that. I did
Okay,
not know that.
we had 140 foster children in 20 years. I had it growing.
Wow.
Okay, so I have a very different vantage point of that whole process and system, and so I'm really involved in that here. Well, there's a organization here called Foster Angels, and what happens is a lot of foster children are moved from house to house. What happens when they age out? There's no resources really for children that are aging out. They're 18, and now it's like, what do we do?
Good luck, kid. Yeah, right.
Right. So foster angels comes in and they get companies or individuals to underwrite these apartments and furnish these apartments and doing these things for these kids, and then they help them get jobs and things like that. It's really, really, really cool. So that's what we did this year. Now, they don't need to know how much we paid or that we furnished this whole house or that we did all these different things. All they know now is they had a donation made, there's awareness, and it just cascades in different ways. So this is the biggest opportunity I think people have. And it's the biggest bang. I hate to say biggest bang for your buck, but it really is, because again, there's no price tag tied to it, and it can
Right.
make a difference in a lot of different ways.
No, that's incredible, and I think that with the theme of this month being for our podcast purposes, it's luxury, right, and focused on that. And I think that a couple of things go into that. Firstly, we know a lot of high net worth individuals as we head to the end of the year are looking for things
Yeah.
that they can pour into for tax purposes, but also these are some of the most generous people that you'll find, right, is on that high end. So I think that it really strikes a nerve, and maybe that's why you have such a great response rate in that regard, is because you're dealing with generous people and you're coming from a generous place,
Yeah.
and it's heartfelt, right, and it's real, it's authentic, and
Yeah.
that's the key to any marketing strategy. Any business has to be based on authenticity and being genuine. So I think that's wonderful.
Well, and you're not riding around during the holiday season, dropping off gifts and doing all these other things, right?
Yeah.
So you just put a stamp on it and put it in the mail, and they get it. So that's what I did this year. But I mean, I think right now, especially because it's middle of November, people still have an opportunity before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Just write some notes to your clients, write some notes to your database. I'm just really grateful for you for all the support you've given me to my business this year and beyond. If I, or you could send a letter to everybody. If I haven't had the opportunity to work with you this year, I welcome the opportunity to get to work with you in the new year. How can I serve you best? If you serve, people respond to that. If you take, they don't want any part of that, especially now. So
Yep.
again, I treat all of my clients like they're my same, whether it's my $2 million listing now or my little client who's buying their first condo. Because it's how you treat people, it's how they feel. And I think I said this last time. I mean, it's mindset, because their asset, that might be luxury to them. I mean, who am I to decide what price point is luxury?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities at the end of the year right now just to show gratitude. People want to see that. People want to feel connected. And then the holiday season in December, I'm doing a gratitude. I don't know what they're calling it. It's kind of like a teacher appreciation, where
Yep.
I'm sponsoring the coffee, and I went to a little local bakery because I love to support local, and I am getting 100 pastries, and I'm going to give them all to all the teachers and just have a sticker, and it's going to have, my $500 gift voucher on there, and just say, hey, if you ever look, needing to look and buy or sell or invest, or others, please keep me in mind, and just buying coffee and breakfast pastries for them. And you don't even have to do it on your own. Partner with your CPA, partner with your lender. Towards the
Yes.
end of the year, like you said, everybody's needing write-offs in different ways anyway. You might as well pay it forward while you do it.
That's huge. That's great. So I want to know a little bit as well about your team structure, right?
Okay.
And what strategies you utilize to uh, continue to be productive and focus on the income producing activity while you have teams or you have tools that are supporting you on the back end. Can you talk a little bit about how you leverage?
Yeah, leverage is that's like the key word these days. And I didn't really give it much thought until I realized how valuable it really could be, in your business.
Sure.
So for a long time, I've always been an individual. I was at KW for 10 years, loved the company, but I was an individual, and I felt like I was a little bit on an island. When I left and came to EXP, I had a number of people that said, hey, we want to be on a team with you. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to be boss, but I would really love for us to collaborate together because I do better with people. My husband always says real estate's not a team sport, right? But I disagree. I think we can, EXP has changed that narrative a little bit where we can all help each other build. So the cool thing about where I am is there's 3 different team structures, right? You can have a formal team like most companies have. You can have a mega team, but I didn't want to create another job for myself and I didn't want to be boss.
Right.
I mean, I've got
I
4
got you.
kids. I am boss of Team Riley, and that is plenty. But the self-organized team structure it's kind of like a joke. When I was before, they would say you're non-team team, which it's really like a non-team team. So the way I'm structured is I have Lux Property Group. I own the brand and I have an LLC. I'm an individual agent with EXP, but I have agents that work with me. We're friends that work under my brand that are individual agents with EXP as well. Okay. But we're more of like a referral group, if you will. So we
There we are.
collaborate together. We're a referral group. Their business is their business. My business is my business. Because here in Austin, especially, there's a lot of little boutiques.
Mhm.
And so if I'm going up as Elizabeth Riley against, one of the smaller boutiques, I might not have as much of a chance depending on how this team, quote unquote, pitches it. So what we did is we can go up against those boutiques saying, oh, well, there's 5 of us, because there really are 5 of us. And this is what we can do for you. Because for some reason, people think there's power in numbers. So we just have that impression that we're a bigger team. So we meet like a team every week. 3 of us are licensed. Actually, Kay is licensed, but she doesn't really sell all that much. And then my TC is not licensed, but we meet every single Wednesday and we have our team meeting. We go over all of our clients. We go over our market. We go over what our week looks like, how we can help each other. And then what I've been doing most recently is whenever I have clients that come in, because now I'm traveling and I'm speaking and I'm trying to help build EXP and speak at other events. And I'm loving that. Right. So now what I'm doing is I'm referring a lot of my business. So the referrals come into me. I'm 100% referral. Now, this is only my business. They keep their own business. I don't take splits from them.
Because we're not an official team, right?
We're not official team. So
Right.
I could take splits from them if I wanted to, but I don't want to, right? And that's not what this is about. So we're not an official team, but when a referral comes in, I could either, how you typically can refer it out to somebody for 25% and let them run with it. But my relationships are key. And so I don't ever want to hand everything off completely because I don't want them to be like, oh, well, Elizabeth, I'm not going to keep giving you referrals. So a listing comes in, I'll say, oh, Meredith and I are your co-listing agents. We're going to work this transaction together. You have both of us. It's 2 agents for 1. So now our clients are like, oh, that's awesome. And we have this whole system set up. But now Meredith and I just have a referral agreement on the listing side. Leanne and I have a referral agreement on the buying side. They're boots on ground. And I'm more back end. I'm more of negotiation, although they do negotiate as well. I'm more involved in the contract and negotiating part instead of the actual boots on ground. So it helps us all. They are doing what they love to do. Meredith loves working with the sellers. Leanne loves working with the buyers. It's not that I don't, but I just don't have the bandwidth to be driving all over town and doing these different things. But now I'm leveraged a little bit better because I have other people supporting me. So I like it because there's no structure and there's no stress. I mean, there's structure, but not like a formal team where I'm the rainmaker. I have to guarantee leads. I joke, maybe I shouldn't joke about this. I joke that I'm not Catholic, but I have Catholic guilt, right? So if I have a team, I mean, this is true. If I have a team, I'm team lead, and I've got, say, 4 baby agents that don't have
you got mouths to feed. Yeah.
Right. I will feel so guilty about that. I don't want to feel guilty like that. So my self-organized non-team team is how I'm structured, but it allows me to leverage in a way that works for me and works for the others in my group.
That's wonderful. That's great. And what it allows you to do, as you say, is to focus on the things that you truly love to do in terms of wonderful podcasts like this one, right? Or speaking engagements, or some of the other things. If you at Build or some of these different conferences that you get the opportunity to speak at. So that's great. It's great to be able to do what you love, right? And also have a unique business model that forwards you that opportunity, right? Where you're not having to be the only one producing or the only one that's generating leads. You get to leverage some of that. So that's great.
Well, and our company allows us to not have that scarcity mindset.
Exactly.
It's very interesting. Like the transaction we've been dealing with that's closing today, the agent on the other side with the death, it's a very interesting dynamic because of that scarcity mindset. I mean, this listing agent is so paranoid that she has to be there at every showing. She has to be there at every, I'm like, I have more experience than you. Like, what are you worried about? And she also sent a note the other day because one of her clients went through an open house of ours. And she's like, I just want you to know my client went through your open house and I don't want y'all calling her. That's my client. I have a buyer rep. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, no. You should see. I was like, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. She wrote down, we had her sign in for our sellers because our sellers want to know who's coming through the home. And we always ask if there's an agent. They've got your name down there. We're all good. We're not calling your client. But it's just
Yeah.
really interesting to see how, like, especially this market affects different people. And it
Yes.
creates a fear that's unnecessary when you can collaborate and build bigger. That is, there's only room for abundance.
That's right.
So I think when you believe that and you put yourself in those rooms or in those environments where people are manifesting that and they're living that and they're showing that and they're proof of that, you're only going to grow grow forward instead of go backwards. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
agents in this market right now are going backwards, not necessarily in production, but in confidence and mindset.
No, and that's huge, and that reminds me of something kind of funny that happened earlier this week. I had an agent that reached out based on a Facebook post, and a pretty predominant agent in their region posted this deal on Facebook, and it was like, if you're telling your clients to buy or sell real estate right now, you're not doing them any favors. It's a terrible time to buy and a terrible time to sell. You need to tell them to wait 6 months at least, maybe a year, et cetera, right?
Wow.
And then and this agent reached out to me and said, hey, Tony, can you say something to this agent, because this is not cool, right? And I thought about it, and I wasn't going to do that, but I had a chat with the agent, and I said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to reach out to that agent, and the reason why is because he's right. Right, that he's right for his business. This is probably going to be the worst year ever for his business, right? But for you, that means nothing for you, right? So if you feel like this is going to be the best year, if you feel like 2023 is you're going to knock it out of the park and do over 100 transactions, that's what you're going to do. And if you feel like you're going to close 0 deals this year because the market's terrible, you're 100% right. So, and that was very encouraging, I think, for the agent. And I think that's the mindset that we all need to have, right?
Yeah.
You get that opportunity to make this business what you want it to be in any kind of a market.
Well, yeah. And especially, I mean, look at like in 2008, EXP launched in 2008, Uber launched, all these big companies launched in a quote unquote bad market.
Yeah.
I mean, that's opportunity for me right now. I'm watching for deals. I'm
Exactly.
watching for things. I mean, there's something I'm working on right now to try and buy. And I'm like, golly, I can't even get a deal on this because it's really not a deal market. Like it's just more balanced. And I was hoping to get a deal, but I'll watch it. But I know I'm going to probably pay at or really close to list, because it's something I want, and people are going to buy, and I'm going to buy. And so I love your attitude on that, because you're right. You're like, for somebody that is the right business that they're in. But what I've been doing, and I've been telling all of my agents, when I say my agents, I'm talking about the ones in my front organization. I had one-on-one strategy calls with each one of them.
Wow.
I said, which is a lot, 30-minute strategy. I'm like, oh, that was a great idea in theory. But here's what I loved about that. I said, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, right? Number 1, where are we in your 2022 goals? We have 6 weeks left. How can I help you get there? Number 2, what are your 2023 goals? And this doesn't necessarily mean financial. I'm talking about personal, relational, professional, like all these different things. What are your goals? What are Elizabeth's goals for you? And then number 3, how can I help you? How can I best serve you in the coming months and year? And what was cool about it is all the different answers I would get, that if I just assumed, like, I would have been completely off, or mindsets that I could say, well, what if you look at it this way? So I think when you just start talking to people, everybody has their own reality, and it's not my place to change it or challenge it. It's just my place to support it. And so that's what's been a lot of fun and learning. And it was just kind of an aha moment for me. It's like, okay, we're going to all do what we need to be doing and what's set in place for us, and just figure out how to do that in the best way, in the most authentic way. And maybe some people are going to have to step back, but I told them, I don't want you to be a statistic. unless you want to be the statistic, right? NAR is
You
saying,
may.
right.
Yeah.
NAR is saying 40% of agents are going to get out of the business. I'm like, I don't want you to be in that statistic, and I've got 3 in my front line that are retiring, which is amazing because the only retirement parties I've ever seen with real estate agents before EXP were funerals, right? I mean, like you're putting your sign in the yard at 80.
Yep.
But 3 are retiring and they're like, well, we're retiring, but we have a referral program now. And so like, so there's just all these different opportunities. And so I just don't want them to be a statistic, and I want to be able to support wherever I can. And I think that's the beauty of when you have a mindset of an abundance, instead of scarcity and negativity, you can do a lot of great things and, build opportunity from there.
Absolutely. And there's always a way, right? Jim Rohn talks about the ant philosophy, right? And the ant philosophy is how long does an ant try to find their way, right? In terms of where they're going, they'll keep trying until they die. If they got to go above it, they got to crawl over it, they got to burrow under it or go around it. Doesn't matter. They're going to keep going until they find what they're looking for or until they die, right? What an incredible philosophy. And I think that this is a scenario that we find ourselves in going into this market shift kind of headstrong, not knowing how long it's going to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long it's going to be. It doesn't matter what challenges are going to arise. If you approach it from that mindset of, hey, I don't care if I need to switch and do apartment locating, right? If the money's going somewhere, the deals, people always have to have a place to live, to your earlier point. So if it's an apartment locating, I'm going to do that. If it's in luxury, I'm going to do that. If it's in commercial, we're going to do that. If it's leasing, whatever the new market kind of presents itself to be, and you have to be in a situation that has a brokerage and has a team that will push you and fan those fumes, fan that fire inside of you. And allow you to be successful and productive no matter what niche you choose. I'm also hearing farm and ranch right now is huge because a lot of folks are taking their money and burying it in farm and ranch until the market turns around, right? And just buying huge lots. So all these sorts of things, you have to be in a place where that success can be facilitated.
Well, yeah, they're not making more land, are they? Right?
They're not.
I get it. Well, and I just think, if people want a simple strategy, and nothing's simple, right? It is what you make of it, but a simple strategy. This is what I do. Here is my secret to success, if you will. Every December, I write down on a piece of paper the 12 months of the year, January through December. I make a line, 3 lines by each month. The first one is a direct mail. The second one is a newsletter. And the third one is a in-person meeting or lunch or coffee or whatever. And then I plan it out for the 12 months. So January, I know I'll write my letter and whatever it is with my voucher certificate or whatever. February, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done it yet because I'm going to do it in December. But February in the past, I always do my Girl Scout cookies. I go and, again, I'm finding ways to support different things. So I'm supporting the Girl Scouts. I'm supporting entrepreneurial girls. I'm supporting the schools. I'm buying Girl Scout cookies. I say I'm not going to do it every year. And every year my clients say, hey, are you handing out Girl Scouts?
Where's the cookies?
I want Thin Mints. Like they place orders. So now all my clients, whenever they see Girl Scouts, they think of the real estate agent. Is that powerful? Yes, that's powerful, right? And they know that I'm going to put a box of cookies with a ribbon, I'm thankful for you, with my business card up on their door. And they can't wait for the Girl Scout cookies. March, I'll do my CBS Sports free March Madness basketball bracket. I love college basketball. I love it. And if you do a free bracket and then the top 3 winners, like you can't get that much exposure. Okay, let's go to March Madness for a minute. Think about March Madness. You don't even need to know anything about basketball. That's the beauty of it. I mean, there's all these upsets in March Madness. That's what's so fun, right? You have all these brackets that go out, and it's like 2023 March Madness contest by Lux Property Group. Anytime there's a schedule change, anytime there's an upset, anytime there's a score change, anytime there's anything in your bracket, Lux Property Group comes across your email and you're paying attention to what the score is. I get so much exposure during March Madness, just that because CBS Sports is doing it. You see what I'm saying? Like, no, that's huge. Figure out ways to do that. April, I do forget-me-not seeds. Go to freaking Home Depot and get 30-cent seeds, and they're forget-me-not seeds. And you staple your business card in them and you put them in an envelope. I mean, it's just things like that that I put down once a month. And I make sure I know what I'm going to do in advance, because then I'm not being reactive when we get busy. Then I already know, okay, the 15th of the month, this is going to go out. And then the newsletter, I used to send out a newsletter, but I wasn't getting as much open rate because there's so much email that goes out. But
Junk.
now, yeah, it's junk. And so now one of my lenders has some really awesome market minute that can be specifically targeted to their property. I'm like, well, let me see how that might work. So he and I are going to send that out. And then my clients will have more of a realistic equity snapshot of their personal house instead of, oh, all of Austin is up 20% or whatever it is. Right. So it's more strategic. And then my third touch is always, I want to do coffee or lunch with people. They might not be able to go have coffee or lunch. I do coffee now, actually, for especially new agent. Lunches take too long.
Yeah.
They do, right? It could be like
a
2 or 3 hour lunch. Nobody has time for that. And lunches can get expensive. But a coffee or a quick coffee or tea can be quick, right? Hey, I want to catch up, see how you are. But the beautiful thing about it is they might not be available. It's still a touch.
Yep.
Hey, I was in your neighborhood. Tony, I was in your neighborhood just thinking about you. How are you? I would love to grab coffee sometime soon. Or do a video touch. I hate video. I hate it. But the reality is people see me and hear me the way I'm on video, and I just have to get over that. So I just record it. Hey, Tony, I was just in your neighborhood. Just wanted to say hi. Let's grab coffee or lunch sometime soon. I push send. I don't watch it again. But you could do video text. There's all these different things to do. Just stay in front of them.
Wow.
If you're consistent, that's all you have to do. And that's how I built my business.
So, goodness gracious, so much value, right? So you've already taken us through November, right? Which is, I'm thankful for you cards. You've taken us through December, which is the charity donation, right? January, right? You were talking about first of the year stuff, or maybe taxes and homestead and that kind of thing. February, right? You said that's going to be your not March Madness is March. What was your February?
Well, I mean, again, I haven't planned.
Oh, Girl Scout cookies. Yes. So Girl Scout cookies.
Or if you don't, Girl Scout cookies, that gets expensive, by the way. They keep.
But hey, we're doing luxury listings, so we
I know. I buy about
yeah.
350 boxes of them, and so it's crazy. But you could also. So I have 4 kids, and we have to go to Target to go get Valentines for their classes, right?
Yep.
I've done Valentines for my clients too, where I'll get cute little Valentines, or with the little candies, or a little sucker, or the hearts. Here's what I'll do a lot of times is I'll get the little Valentines and I send them in the mail, and I'll go to Abor. I think Abor, I think any of them will have it, any of the MLSs, but they'll have the little stickers that say I love referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put those on my little Valentine card. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. Yeah. So it's just finding, and people are like, oh, I'm not that creative. Well, either am I, but Pinterest is, and Google is, and collaborating with agents from all over the country with EXP is. I mean, Shannon Milligan out of Virginia is one of my favorite people in the world. When I first came to the company, I was like, oh my gosh, you operate like me. But she does things really, really different. Like one of the things she does that's really cool is she'll get a Starbucks gift card and she posts it. She has a VIP group of all of her clients in Facebook. Now, I'm different because I don't have everybody on Facebook and I don't put my clients on Facebook, right? So it just depends on what kind of business you have. But she has a VIP group in Facebook, and she'll post a Starbucks card that might have $100 on it and say, scan this code for your next coffee on me. Ask for you to just do one so everybody in the group can have a coffee. But I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Even if somebody doesn't use it, right? I send out gift cards. I send out things like that. So one of the things right now that you can do, and this is what I'm doing for the teacher appreciation, I made little cards on Canva that say $500 gift voucher. Or gift certificate. It doesn't have to be $500. It could be $100. But especially in the market we're in right now, and every state is different. Let me just say, I know you're Texas, but every state's different. So from a compliance standpoint, just make sure you're doing what your state says. But I put these little vouchers says transferable on your, or you can be used on your next real estate transaction, or transferable to family and friends. No expiration, no nothing on there. So now it's a little business card size that they keep. And they're like, oh, wait, so-and-so was just talking about real estate. Hey, my real estate agent, Elizabeth Riley, has this voucher if you want this. Hey, Elizabeth, can we use this? Absolutely. It doesn't cost you any money till you're at the closing table. and it's on your settlement statement, and it could be $100. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a perceived value though that has a longer shelf life than a just listed or just sold card where nobody cares and it goes in the trash.
Wow. That's, I mean, that you've given effectively an entire year's worth of marketing there. So that's absolutely incredible. If you are not writing this down, you need to rewind this part. And Elizabeth Riley, the queen herself, just laid out an entire kind of 12-month strategy to farm your network, which is what this is about, right? We're not farming communities, we're not farming, listings or properties. We're farming people, and the people are generating your business and spreading your name. And this is how you build a referral only business, or by referral only. So thank you so much for that, Elizabeth. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it builds up to the luxury piece too, because I mean, I did one for March. I did one in March that was just a clip art of a 4-leaf clover on a piece of paper, and it said, "You don't need luck in real estate, you just need Elizabeth Riley and the Lux Property Group on your side. And when you win big, make sure to call me to help you buy, sell, or whatever your castle." And it was $1 scratch off.
Yeah.
And I had a client call me. He wasn't a client yet. He was just in my sphere. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this. I just won $20." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's awesome." I mean, again, it's just that dialogue.
It's a touch. Yeah.
Right. It's a touch. And he's like, "I won $20." And I was like, "Well, awesome." I said, "You're buying coffee next time," and just joking around. Didn't say anything about real estate. And he goes, "Actually, it reminds me, I do need to get on your calendar. We're looking at selling, and I would love for you to come out." Well, it was a $1.6 million house from a $20 lottery ticket. You see,
wow.
You don't know who you're going to impact, or it's that top of mind. And people are like, "Well, I just listed and just sold cards." I'm like, well, that might be great if you're farming an area, but for me, I'm all over the place. I'm all referral. So if I spend my marketing dollars on just listed in a neighborhood that I live in, but all my clients are 20 minutes away, that doesn't make an impact for them. Right. Yeah. So I want my marketing dollars to reach further than just, because the reality is you just want to make an impact on the way to the trash can.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think people spend too much money on marketing and things that they think are flashy or shiny or pretty. But I'm like, well, what shelf life did that have? Or what impact did that have?
Yeah. People sort their mail over the trash can 100% of the time. Right. So
yeah, I totally do that.
Exactly. So, and that's why, and you, when you're marketing, you also want to look at every step in that process, right? So, what does it look like when they take it from the mailbox, when they get it inside the house, when they stand in front of the trash can? What are they doing? What's their perception? And each piece is a sale. You need to sell them to turn it over and read it. Then once they're reading it, you got to encourage them to read to the bottom of it, or to keep it, or whatever call to action you have on that card. So each step is a sales process in and of itself, keeping in mind that you only have about 3 minutes from the time they get from the mailbox to the trash can and get to that piece of mail. So
the most fun one that I've done is those forget-me-not seeds. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's kind of clever, right? Forget-me-not seeds.
Very good.
And I put them on. But one of my clients, she calls me. She said, "I got something in the mail from you," and I said, "You did?" She goes, "Yes," and I'm not opening it. I said, "Why not?" She goes, "Because it rattles, and I don't trust you." Like,
that's funny.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, how many other people thought, what is in this, and trying to figure out. So it just, again, to your point, it's the impact, and you're trying to get them to connect, and all of those things come together. It's not about just one element. It's not about just the stamp, or it's not about just the return address. It's like everything all is. It's fun.
It is. And I think that when we had Jay Kinder on a while back, that's one of the things we talked about was chunky mail, right? Whenever you have that opportunity to send something that's chunky, or that, like the scratch off cards and things like that. I love that sort of thing. And one thing that for everyone watching the podcast, the best agents are the best marketers, right? Stop thinking like a real estate agent, start thinking like a marketer, and have this go-giver mentality that Elizabeth has, which is that, I want to give to as many people as I possibly can. And when you take on that mindset and stop trying to get from and start trying to give to, that makes all the difference in your real estate business and in your life, honestly.
Yeah. And it's fun. And then it doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't, not at all. That's wonderful. So along those lines, I guess, what is the most important lesson that you think you've learned in your real estate career?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a big one, right?
Most important, there's always lessons. Not all business is good business. I've
Break that
taken
down for us.
I have said yes to things when I know I should have said no. I knew that the clients weren't realistic. I knew that I was going to spend a whole lot of money, but I really like there's one, speaking of luxury listing, there was one I really, really wanted. It was on a parade of homes. It was gorgeous. The sellers were very challenging. They weren't nice. That's not usually the case.
No,
They weren't
our clients are lovely and,
all of them are lovely. Yeah.
sunshine.
Yeah. Rainbows and sunshine, but
That's right.
they were unrealistic. They wouldn't listen to me. I knew my numbers, but I doubted myself. Like I doubted myself because of what they were telling me. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. I spent a lot of money, spent a lot of effort. I went above and beyond doing some really creative things. And I knew it wasn't realistic. And I knew I should have never taken that listing. And I lost the listing. It expired. And as soon as it expired, the price I told them originally, they put it back on the market with a discount broker.
Yep.
Right? Because they wanted me to discount my commissions. I was like, no, I'm going to prove my value. I'm going to show them this, right? I spent all this money, time, and effort. But they put it on the market at the price I told them with a discount broker, and it sold quick. So really what I did is I did all the marketing for the second agent to come and sell and benefit from that. And so there have been times that there are people that I come across and I'll tell them, you know what? I don't think we're going to be a great fit. I'd rather let you down now, turn you down now than let you down later, because my business is 100% referral. If I do a fantastic job for you, you are going to tell everybody you know. If I do a bad job in your mind, you're going to tell everybody you know, right? Wow. And I don't feel like I can exceed your expectations in this situation. And it took me a long time to do that. And I wish I would have done that early on. I just, I had that mentality, well, I don't know where my next deal will come from. And I think that's a really real fear. But the energy you're going to spend on that bad deal is going to take you away from putting in energy to find better deals and better experiences. And so I think that's probably my biggest lesson is not all, and I still remind myself of that now, not all business is good business.
That's huge. And I think that as we begin to head into this different, sort of market, those temptations will absolutely be there more than they ever have been, right? Where if the market is down 40%, or, you're starting to wonder and doubt yourself. And meanwhile, you have a seller that maybe is going off of numbers from 6 months ago, which, No, not at all. Right. Absolutely. So, that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind, is that not all business is good business. That's huge.
Yeah.
So next question, what is the most important personality trait do you think that someone needs to be successful?
Look at these questions you're throwing out.
Listen, I'm with the queen, so I gotta, I gotta ask the right questions.
They're different questions than what everybody always asks. I don't think there's a right personality trait, quite frankly. I don't think there's a wrong personality trait. We talk about the disc profile a lot, and there are D's that are very, very, very successful and C's that are very successful, and they're very opposite. I just think really it's being authentic, and I use that word, and I think that word is used too much actually now. Authentic and genuine, unfortunately, but I really think that's what it is. Figure out who you are, what kind of person you are, what kind of business you want to have, who you want to work with. And, I think I know a lot of great introverts, because I remember people saying, well, you have to be really outgoing and you have to be really, energetic to be a successful real estate agent. I'm like, no, you don't. I mean, I know some great introverts that are amazing real estate agents. I know some people that are much more focused on numbers and details than I am. I'm not a detail spreadsheet processes person at all. And they're amazing with the clients when they get in front of them. It's just who your clientele is. So I don't think there's a good or bad personality trait to be successful. People are successful in all sorts of ways and reasons. And you don't always have to be in the front to be successful either. I mean, I've got supporting roles in my organization and people that support me that are incredibly successful, but they don't want to be in the limelight, right? But they're allowing me to be successful, which is successful for them. So I don't think you have to be the primary focus. I think there's so many different ways to be successful with whatever situation or whichever business you're in. You just have to find what's a good fit for you. I think there are wrong positions for people. I mean, I'm certainly not one that wants to sit behind a desk all day long. I think I'm, um, doing spreadsheets and things like that. I think I'd be misusing my talents.
Yeah.
Um, but it takes me a while to figure out really what my passions are. I think if you love what you're doing, I said this earlier, it's not job and it's not work. And when you figure that out, I think you're right. You're the right personality for whatever you're doing because you know what your passion is.
That's great. Wonderful. Last question for today. And that is this. And I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but Jim Rohn mentions that success leaves clues,
Yeah,
right?
it's a good one.
So, yeah, it's a great one. So, let me ask you, what does a day in the life of Elizabeth Riley look like, right? If someone is modeling success after you, right, and they want to achieve the type of success that you have seen, and we know that success, and I know personal friend of yours, Holly Mayberry, right, brought
Love
this up
Holly.
as well. I love Holly, right? And one of the things she said was that success is simply accumulation of the habits, right? And as you begin to do these habits over and over again, that is what where your success is garnered. So what are your habits on your typical day, right? What does your day look like from start to finish on your journey to your 2023 goals?
I think part of success is recognizing what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? And trying not to do everything. For me, my day to day it's a little crazy. I've got 4 kids, and my day starts early. I get up, get all of them ready to go. Um, my husband, we changed this the last few months, and it's really helped me out. My husband, I get them all ready, lunches, make sure their bags are ready to go, get them out the door. My husband takes them to school. When he does that, they leave at 7:20. When he does that, that frees me up for at least 40 minutes, maybe a little bit more, to just sit down, get my bearings, go through my email, see what's urgent, and get through all of that. Before, I was running them to school, I was trying to do all this other stuff, then I'd get home and I was a little bit more frazzled, and I don't do well frazzled. I can multitask really well, but I just don't get as much done. And then I sit there and I figure out, okay, what's the hard stuff that I need to get done? Because if I can get the hard stuff done first in the morning, then the rest isn't as challenging. If I am putting off something, then it's lingering forever. So I try, and I don't do this every day very well, but I try to, okay, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm going to deal with that now.
Eat
Um,
that frog, eat that
yeah,
frog, and get it
it's
out of the
done.
way.
Yeah, and just be done with it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, but you just do it, and then I'm like, okay, it's done. Now I can go on with myself. My friend Terrence Murphy has really taught me a lot about time blocking. I used to not time block at all, and I was a little bit more scattered. And he would tell me what's on your calendar is important to you. If
Yep.
it's not on your calendar, it's not important. And that really hit home for me. I was like, oh, okay. So time blocking for me, like after 6 o'clock, it's family. If And my family now knows they're a priority, right? They didn't know that before, even though I would tell them, they didn't feel that way. And so if
Yeah.
I have something after 6 o'clock, they know that I'm going to get their permission to do that. Um, but between 8 and usually 3, I just have it time blocked. I time block if I'm going to go to the gym or Pilates or whatever it is. But every single day, I get my kids out the door. I sit there and I get the hard stuff done first, and then, I mean, you know how real estate is. You never know. Every day is a little bit
No 2 days are the same. I
right.
get it. Yeah.
But I've got it earmarked that, okay, I know I need to get a lot of things done here, and then after this, because here's my drop dead time, and I have to be present with the family after that part. And so that's just, I mean, my days are a little bit crazy sometimes. Sometimes they go well. Sometimes meetings get canceled and I find myself free time. And when I find myself with so much free time, I'm like, okay, what should I be doing? Right. So that's when I'm getting my marketing stuff together and I'm ordering things. I've hired 2 VAs. So I have 2 VAs now. I have my marketing assistant who's on maternity leave. So I'm a little bit scrambled right now. And then I have my TC, and we just all have our stuff together. And if I have an opening in my day, I'm like, okay, what can we be working on, or can what can we add to the calendar that might be able to free something else up. But yeah, that's about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, time blocking, and this is something that I've noticed in many high producers, Terrence Murphy, of course, being one, and that is the idea of mastering your calendar, mastering your schedule. Okay, and that quote, I mean, I've heard it another way, which is that if it's on your calendar, it gets done, and if it's not, then it doesn't. right?
Yeah, if
So
it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Like my kids know
exactly.
that, and my husband and I were having a hard time because um he's like, "Yeah, you knew about this." I was like, "It's not on my calendar." So now we've had to train each other to
Hmm.
put things on each other's calendar because we've got a lot of moving parts with the kids, and we've got a
Yes,
lot of moving parts with my schedule and whatever. And so it's just that communication. But you're right; it's you have to have it on the calendar because for me, if it's not on there, it's out of sight, out of mind.
that's huge. That's wonderful. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. By the way, if you're here, like, subscribe, share this as well, and make sure you click that bell because every time we do these, we're live today, and we'll be live every time we go live. We want you to pop it up there so that you can see that information and check these out. But thank you so much, Elizabeth Riley. You've been absolutely incredible, gracious as usual. Any parting thoughts? Where can folks get a hold of you? If they're first seeing you, just seeing you now, it's like, I want to be in business with her. She is incredible. Where can somebody reach you?
I love it. If they're at EXP, workplace chat is the best place to get me. So and then LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn for sure, and Instagram, it's Lux.property group. And yeah, that's about it. Pretty easy, pretty
That's
straightforward.
awesome. What do you got coming up? You got a potluck or something, right? Coming up?
Oh my gosh. Okay. My husband, y'all, he's like, you do this every year. And I was like, I know, but it used to be small. So the EXP, I mean, we're all one EXP. So EXP Thanksgiving annual potluck is tomorrow for anybody EXP. I don't care. Bring guests if you want at my house. My husband's like, how many people is that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know who's
Oh
going
my
to show up.
gosh.
I don't know how many people. So, the more the merrier. But that is, yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry I
exactly.
put that out there. I thought it was at like Abor or something. I'm not inviting everybody to Elizabeth's
I
house.
did. It's all out to my. I was gonna do it at Abor, and I was like, well, that just doesn't seem very cozy.
Oh my gosh. I'm
No,
sorry
it's
for
my house.
inviting the world to your, we'll have
No,
like 500 or 1,000 people on this thing. So
that's all
anyways,
right. The more
all
the
right.
merrier.
I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much again, as usual. You brought incredible value, and it's always a pleasure. So
Anytime.
everyone else, thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. Don't forget again to like, share, subscribe, and click that bell. Have a wonderful Wednesday, y'all. We'll see y'all next
Thanks
week.
for having me.
Actually, next week we're out because of
Oh,
we got
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, but we will be back the first week in December.
Have a
Thanks,
great
y'all.
Thanksgiving.